A month after debut left, we closed the Lux Vision deal. The China factory site did have real estate potential. With the right local partners, we could see a good profit on the deal in 2 years. We had closed a complicated deal. Jonathan wanted to celebrate. I am buying a round of drinks. Harry's at 7, he said to Craig and me in the afternoon. Craig did thumbs up from his cubicle. Radhika, you on? Jonathan said. I gave him a blank stare. In the last month I had worked on autopilot. I showed up at the Goldman office in the morning, sat in my seat, worked on my computer, and left post 8 in the evening. I wanted to reach home as late and as tired as possible. If I had spare time or the energy to think, I would message and call Debut. He had stopped taking my calls or responding to messages some time back. But it didn't deter me. I didn't socialize with anyone. I ate cereal with milk from Tetra Paks for breakfast and dinner. I skipped lunch. I spoke very little to Mom. And when I did, I asked her meaningless questions like what she had made for dinner or what the temperature was in Delhi. I slept no more than 2 to 3 hours a night. The rest of the time I stared at the bedroom ceiling or watched American TV infomercials about slimming products promising eternal fitness and happiness. Hence, when Jonathan asked me a simple question, it didn't register with me. You don't have plans this evening, do you? Jonathan said. I shook my head. I didn't have plans. I will never have plans. Come for drinks at Harry's then. Lux Vision deal closing drinks. Sure, I managed to say. Of course, heartbreak, alcohol and I are an explosive combination. Everyone celebrated the end of all the hard work on the China deal with champagne and martinis. I drank my glass of wine to kill the pain that just would not go away. I couldn't believe I loved this guy so much. I tried to find reasons to hate him. How he used to sit watching TV doing nothing. How he would not shower on weekends until the evening. How he would scan the menu to order the cheapest dishes. Yeah, he isn't worth it, Radhika, I tried to tell myself. It didn't work. In fact, the things that annoyed me about him made me miss him more. I slipped to one corner of the bar with my second glass of wine. I watched my colleagues chat and laugh from a distance. I listened to the song playing in the bar. It was Passengers Let Her Go. You only need the light when it is burning low. Only miss the sun when it starts to snow. How did Passenger know what I was going through? God, I missed Debut. I wanted him to hold me like he did every night. It meant more to me than any stupid job or stupid deal. What's up, Radhika? Jonathan came up to me. Come join us. In a bit. Taking it easy. Plus, I like this song. Staring at the ceiling in the dark. Same old empty feeling in your heart. 'Cause love comes slow and it goes so fast. Jonathan raised his glass. I raised mine as well and touched it to his. I could quit this job. Sure, that's what Debut wanted. Enjoying yourself in the distressed group? Jonathan said. I shrugged. I couldn't pretend to be cheerful anymore. What? Jonathan was puzzled. I don't know. I can't really say. Even though Jonathan was a colleague, my boss, and I totally should not have done this, I burst into tears. Fuck, why do I cry so much these days? I swallowed hard to curb my tears. I am not going to make a fool of myself in front of my coworkers. Anything we can help with? Jonathan said, surprised. I shook my head, keeping my gaze down. If there is one thing Americans understand, it is not to invade someone's personal space. Jonathan figured something was amiss. I am going to let you be. Join us if you want to. Okay? I nodded. Thanks, I mumbled. I decided to quit my job. No deal or company or job was worth it. I only enjoyed all this when I had debut. I needed love. Unfortunately, Goldman doesn't hand out love at bonus time. I debated whether I should tell Jonathan now. However, he seemed to be having a fun conversation with Craig. I didn't want to spoil anyone's mood. I did bottoms up on my third or fourth or fifth glass of wine. I tried to call Debut to tell him about my decision to quit work. He didn't pick up. I decided to tell him face to face. I gestured to Jonathan that I needed to go. He gave me an understanding nod. I came out of Harry's. The wine made me feel weightless, airborne. At a florist kiosk on Wall Street, I bought a dozen dark red roses. I checked the time, 7:30 p.m., and hailed a yellow cab. Tiffany on Fifth Avenue, please, I said. I reached the Tiffany store just a few minutes before its closing time. Rings, for men, I said. The polite salesperson took out several gold and platinum rings. I chose a classic men's platinum band. Excellent choice. That would be $2,000, the salesperson said. I took out my credit card. Thank you. Would you like it gift wrapped? He said. Yes, please, I said. I rushed out of the store and hailed another cab. Brooklyn Heights, please. The taxi took the FDR, crossed Brooklyn Bridge, and entered Brooklyn. It took me 40 minutes to reach Debue's building. He had moved back to his apartment with his old roommates. The elevator of his building had shut down for temporary repairs, so I climbed up the 5 floors to reach his apartment. I was about to ring the bell but paused. I wanted to give him a complete surprise. I had come with news of a resignation, a bouquet of roses, and a ring. I wanted him. I was ready to be his girl, just the way he wanted me to be. I lifted the potted plant outside his flat. I found the bunch of house keys under it. I opened the door. It was dark in the living room. I switched on the lights. I wondered if anyone was home. 2 bedrooms had their doors ajar. These belonged to Debue's roommates. I walked up to the 3rd bedroom, his. I could hear music. Yep, Debue was inside. I knocked twice. I don't think he heard it. Had he gone to sleep while listening to music? I checked the house keys. I tried them one by one on the bedroom door with my right hand, since I held the bouquet in the blue Tiffany box in my left. One of the keys worked. I gently opened the door. I just wanted to slip into bed with him. A tiny bedside lamp was switched on. It took me a second to process what I saw. Debue and a white girl lay there naked, intertwined with one another. I couldn't breathe. In hindsight, I realize I should have shut the door and dashed out. Instead, I froze. What the fuck? Debue said as he saw me. Sorry. Oh fuck, the American girl said as she saw me. She had a large tattoo of a bird on her left upper breast. She also had a pierced upper lip. I don't know why I stood there and noticed all this and did not just run out. Radhika? Debue said. I started to shiver. You know her, the girl said. Huh? Debue said as he visibly wondered what to tell her. Used to. What are you doing here? Radhika? Nothing, I said. My face was on fire with embarrassment. What the hell was I doing here? Anyway? With a bouquet and Tiffany box in my hand? Then, in a second, I was gone. I turned around and ran out of his house. I don't know if he came after me. I don't think he did. Not that I looked back. I simply ran and ran down the stairs and on the empty streets. I wanted to disappear into thin air. In the middle of the road, I prayed for a cab. But none came. Don't cry, don't cry, don't cry, Radhika, I mumbled, rocking myself. I had to keep it together. Until I reached home. Or at least until I found a taxi. My hands trembled, my knees wobbled. Don't, Radhika, I said out loud even as I let go. My legs felt weak. I kneeled down on the road and cried. I didn't just cry, I howled. A couple of people from the ground floor apartments peeped out from their windows to look at me. I didn't care. Where did I go wrong? I looked at the sky. I am sorry, God, but what wrong did I do? The image of debut with the tattooed white girl wouldn't vacate my head. An NYPD police car came up on the road and stopped near me. You all right, lady? A cop spoke to me from inside the car. I looked up at him and nodded. You live here? No. Tribeca. You want to go home? I nodded. Come, we can drop you at the subway station. I sat in a police car for the first time in my life. 5 minutes later, he dropped me at the Clark Street subway stop. I swiped my Metro card and took the number 2 train to Chambers Street. Like a corpse, I reached home. Once inside, I sat on the sofa and looked at my hands. I still had the bouquet and ring. I threw them on the floor and called home. I miss you, Mom, I said. My mother sensed my sad, tired, and devastated state. What happened, Beta? Nothing. Say what happened. Nothing. Just homesick. We miss you too. I love you, Mom. Love you too, Beta. It's late, sleep now. Good night, Mom. I lay down on the sofa and passed out. Hey, what's up, dealmaker? Come right on in, John said as I knocked at his office door. I came in and sat down in front of him. So, Jonathan told me, John said. Yeah, I figured, I said. Personal reasons? John said. I nodded. I had sent in my resignation. I had really tried to get back to normal. But New York wouldn't let me. Every street, every nook, every inch of Manhattan made me think of him. Hell, I was such a wreck that every advertisement hoarding, because Debut worked in advertising, you see, made my heart sink. Every restaurant menu took me back to dinners with him. Even in my own house, the kitchen, the couch, the bed, everything screamed his absence. I had no plan for the future. I only knew I couldn't bear to be a minute more in this city where I had loved and lost the only man who loved me. I looked out of John's window. I saw the Hudson River and the buildings of Brooklyn past it. Brooklyn, the word itself, made my eyes well up. I swallowed hard. I hate girls who cry in the office, let alone in front of a Goldman Sachs partner. Don't be a crybaby, I scolded myself. Can I have some water? I said instead. Sure, John said. I poured myself a glass of water, took a slow sip, but the tears slipped out anyway. I lifted the glass higher to cover more of my face. It didn't help. My body shook as I started to cry. Some of the water spilled on his table. I am sorry, I said. It's okay, John said. He passed me a box of tissues. If this were an Indian office, the boss would have asked 5 times what happened, and would require all the gory details. In straight-laced America, no matter what, they let you be, unless you want to share. I hope you feel better, John said as I wiped my face. I nodded. Listen, I am not going to tell you what to do. However, you do know how much we value you, John said. Yeah, I said, staring at the glass before me to avoid eye contact. So if there is anything we can do to keep you. If you need a long break or time off. Anything. I shook my head. What next? John said. I have no idea. Leave New York. Maybe go home. You want to tell me what the issue is? John said. I kept silent. Sorry, it's not my place to ask. You don't have to tell me. Just wanted to help if I could. I can't be in New York, I said. Okay. Do you need to be someplace specific? No. Just not New York. Too much baggage. John nodded, leaning back on his ergonomic Herman Miller chair. A relationship ended. I didn't realize I was this attached. Or it would hurt so much. John was probably wondering how his favorite associate could be so foolish as to leave a job and a city over a guy. Now every corner of Manhattan reminds me of him, I said. You could always move to Brooklyn, he said and smiled, pointing to the window. He looked at me. Of course his joke had not worked. He lives in Brooklyn now, I said in a plain voice. Sorry. I was just being funny. Didn't work, obviously, John said. You probably think I am insane. To throw away a career for a guy. That too a guy who is not with me anymore. I don't judge people. And I know you are not insane. Thanks, John. Anyway, I want to thank you. I have had a wonderful experience, I said as he interrupted me. Wait. How about we keep you? But we transfer you? Transfer? To another office within the group. Where? Wherever we have offices. Your last deal was that China one, right? Yeah. Lux Vision. So that deal needs to be monitored until we exit. You could do it from Hong Kong. That will get you started. Plus, find new deals there. Asia is growing. Hong Kong? I said. That's as far as it gets from New York, by the way, on this planet, he said and smiled. You are saying I could transfer to distressed debt in Hong Kong? I said. I could make some calls, John said. See if they can accommodate. John was being modest, a partner of his stature calling the Hong Kong office meant they would oblige him in a second. I know nothing about Hong Kong. Lots of Chinese people, John said. Seems like a fun place from what I have seen during my travels. I already submitted my resignation. I sent you an email. I have already deleted it, John said, clicking a button on his computer mouse. Both of us smiled. Thank you, John. Thank you so much. I will call Neil. He is the partner there. You know him? John said. Not much. He did a session during associate training, right? Smart guy. I will talk to him. How soon can you move? When is the next flight?